Welcome to this episode of the GymInformer podcast. I'm Chris Gilbert, your host for this episode, and today our guest is Andrew Ponsler. He is the owner of Indy Barbell. This is a gym I've gotten to go to a couple times at the previous location, and then just a couple weeks ago I got to go to the new location. It's super badass. I'm really excited to talk to Andrew about it. But before we get started, let me show you the photos I took from the new location. All right, Andrew, before we get started talking about the new location and all of that goes into this move and everything you guys did with the move, because it was super cool, can you tell everybody, what was your path to becoming a gym owner?
Yeah, I actually was one of those people that knew exactly what I wanted to do at a very young age. So when I was 17 or 18, I was training athletes for hockey. I did stick handling and shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked at this facility that was a sports performance speed development facility. And I fell in love with that job. And basically, as soon as college was over, I knew that I wanted to open up a spot. So during college, saved money. I played collegiate hockey. And while I was doing that, I was building out the business throughout college. Have a degree in ex-phys and business. And I just knew at a young age that this is what I wanted to do, was to take athletes to the next level. And it kind of just grew into this thing over the years. But yeah, I knew from a young age that this is what I wanted to do.
And at this point, you still train some pretty high level athletes.
Yeah. I used to train a lot of kids, a lot of, 200-300 kids a year, anything on the speed development side, strength development side, I did it. But nowadays, just based on the amount of athletes that I've trained and word of mouth, I only train 20 kids a year now, and they're very specific. So pretty much high school and up, I've got quite a few professional athletes, just very finite details, all the way from biomechanics to lifting, just a lot different than I used to do it. So a lot of 20, 30 kids an hour, 4 hours at a time during the night, but now it's 3 to 4 kids, really, really, really focused training.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And then I saw some pretty cool jerseys on the wall. I'm assuming you train all of those people.
Yeah, I've got some Colts guys up there that I've worked with, and some Olympians. I've got 2 Olympians right now, actually. The Olympics are going on right now, and I've got a speed climber that I've worked with, and then I've also got a Paralympian. He's the fastest 100-meter, 200-meter runner in the world. He'll win gold probably again this year.
Oh, wow.
He won gold 4 years ago. He's a T12 runner. So he's actually almost completely blind and running times that would pretty much be in the normal Olympics as well. So we're hoping to break that into that, as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when I was at the old gym, it wasn't a huge space, but it still had some pretty cool equipment. And then you just recently, within the last year, right, moved to the new gym?
So this would have been 2 years. We were at a facility that was similar in size a year ago, but someone bought out the building as soon as we started renting or leasing. So we were forced to move to this facility, which is a much better facility in general. But we were in 4,000 square feet for 10 years.
And that's where I came to the gym first, right?
Yeah, that was our main focus, was just athletes and powerlifting. And I just keep collecting things. And now I've got too much stuff for 4,000 square feet.
Yeah, the equipment selection was really cool. and you've got some really unique pieces in there. Can you talk a little bit about like how do you decide like what pieces are going in the gym?
Ooh, a couple different avenues. One, I actually partner with a company called Bells of Steel. So I run their U.S. operations, and that's the other like big partnership of the gym. So a lot of that stuff is like prototypes and testing from them based on, hey, I know you train a lot of athletes. Let's see if this product works at that kind of scale. So a lot of that's from there. Some of it's from like the designs from me just coaching athletes over the years and other general members. Some of it's like designs that I've done. So I've had pieces made locally, trying to basically fulfill a need. So if I have something that I've been thinking about for a long time, I'll prototype it and then I'll have somebody local build it for me. Or two, or three, I guess. I sit on Facebook Marketplace like it's going out of style. So I am always on there looking for stuff that I have seen or used before. When I trained on the athlete side before, it was a franchise. So a lot of their equipment was very specialized. And I'll go and find that specialty equipment years later at, a discounted price on the internet. I'll have to drive 6 hours to go get it, but some of these pieces are really hard to get. So yeah, that's kind of my buying process.
Yeah, you had some cool pieces in there that like I really haven't seen at any other gyms, and they might have just been like specialty pieces or prototypes or something because I haven't seen them at any other gym. So
yeah, some of the older pieces are from that like franchise. They created a bunch of like specific machines, like that inverse curl. That was a one-off. Like that company made only for a couple of years made that piece. And I had just seen this stuff before at different universities and all over the country. I'd see these different pieces that I'm like, man, when I'm here, I'll use it. And I figured out that these things are awesome. And then I just hunt and peck on the internet until I find another one. And if I can't, then I'll build it basically.
Yeah. Like you had, there was a plyometric piece, I think, that you jump off of and go back on a track that I haven't seen anywhere else. And then there was a, I think it's kind of a speed runner piece that was plate loaded that you actually put your head and shoulders into.
Yep.
And I've seen those pieces before, but not one that's made the way that yours is made. So that was really cool because yours kind of really felt like you could really get like power into there instead of just kind of speed.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take some like normal pieces of equipment and like, for example, like Balls of Steel came out with a sled mill. But then I'll sit there and like modify it until it reaches the angles that I train at. So in sprinting, there's very specific angles that we work within. And I'll sit there and build a piece until it's at those angles that we want to work with. Very specific, not for everybody, but at the same time, I have everything else that everybody else can use. So yeah, we had quite a few regular like gym members come in like, how do I use this? I'm like, you don't really need to. But if you do, this is what it's for. So feel free to use it, but it's not really applicable to the things that you want.
Right. No, it was super cool. Yeah. And then the atmosphere in the gym, it really felt a lot like kind of an old school powerlifting gym. Like you walk in there and you've got the concrete floors, you've got some cool things around the gym for like atmosphere and to like kind of pump people up, and it just kind of felt badass. Were you going for that like old school powerlifting gym vibe or?
Kind of a mix. I'm an old school dude, like the guy that I trained with growing up. Like we listened to a repeat Disturbed every time, and it was just kind of old school. And that was my trainer. And I want that feel, but I like a clean environment. So I try to take old school and mix it with like a comfortable place to lift. Like I have AC, I have fans, I have somebody that cleans the gym that I pay. Like I like that old school feel, but I don't like a mess. Like if I have to go find something, I'm frustrated because I'm training so many people so quickly. I don't have time to go try to find a piece, or if something's dirty, I don't have the time for it. Mm-hmm. So old school, yeah, but I like a little bit of cleanliness.
Yeah, that's becoming kind of a big trend now, I think, is like a sparkling clean old school vibe.
Yeah.
I mean old school doesn't always like lend itself to cleanliness, but that seems to be a trend that's coming around a lot, and people are seeming to really love like getting that old school vibe, but not having to worry about like leaving dirty.
Yeah, and I've got some like hardcore dudes and gals. Like I've got some hardcore people, but at the same time, like I want to be able to not have to clean up after you. So I've also been in gyms where you crawl over pieces of equipment to get to the next. It's so tight and everything's been dusted 20 years ago. That's fine. I support that. It's just it doesn't sell well for me either because I do train some people that like things specifically. So I like to make it look nice, but have everything.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Now, so you've moved a couple times recently.
Yep.
And the current gym is what size?
15,000 square feet.
Oh, that's to me, that's like the perfect size, that 15 to 20,000 square feet, because you can pretty much fit in anything you want to fit in there. Yep. And you can still hold the really cool atmosphere. You get much above 20,000 square feet and you start losing your atmosphere, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say that in West Indy itself, we function out of 6,000 square feet. So Bells of Steel, the partner that I'm with, the upfront showroom is not for it's for display only. And then there's parts of it that you can use. And then the back, I have a loading dock that has crates and different things from Bells of Steel equipment. So we probably only use no more than 8,000 square feet.
Oh, I felt bigger than that.
It does feel bigger than that because it's so open and that we Bells of Steel's up front. So it still looks like a gym and you can use some of that equipment. So it is a large space, but the square bulk of my training, I've measured it out a bunch of times. We probably won't use more than 7,000, 8,000 square feet.
Wow, yeah, definitely.
But it's just a big square, so it's real easy.
Right. Yeah.
Most the old gyms I've had, it's 4,000 square feet, but it's got a bathroom and a kick out and a shower and an office, and it's small because you're using so much, utility space. Where here, all the utility space is up front, so the gym is just wide open.
Right. Yeah. No, it was cool. So what's the future for West Indy? I mean, are you pretty happy with where you are? And will you ever go to a bigger space or use more of the space, or will there ever be 2 West Indy barbells, or what's the future hold?
Never again. We were at 3 locations at one point, dropped down to 2. The franchise I used to run, we had 6 locations. And to be 100% honest, I'm done. So I'm done here. I'm good where I'm at. I love the setup. I love the amount of athletes that I train per year. I don't want to grow anymore. I have no monetary ambitions to get bigger. I'm good. I just had my first kid and super content where we're at. So to be honest, if we continued this the rest of my life, I'd be cool with it. If we didn't grow any bigger, preferably not get any smaller, but if I could train the same amount of kids per year, I'm good to go. I'm pretty happy.
No, I really appreciate that approach. I mean, I think there's a lot of gym owners that have such huge ambitions that they start to lose what really made them special.
Yeah. There's definitely money in this business. It's just not for me. I've done it. I've done it where we've made a lot of money and had different locations, and I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off every day. I'm good. I'd rather make less. I'd rather make half of that than be on the phone all day doing interviews and all the stuff that kind of the social media constant. I'm good. I've done that for 10 years. I'm good to go.
Well, the space you have is very cool, and I can understand completely why you would be content just staying there. It was a cool space, and I can imagine training the high-level athletes that you train in that cool space would keep me pretty content as well.
Yeah, and my goal is to improve the facility. So this year, our big goal for the year is to get new pads, just stuff like that. I want to do repadding of things. I don't. I want to keep our money internal and make the facility better and better and better, or go find something new, or get another monolift, or get another high-speed treadmill. That's more important to me right now than expansion.
Right. So we talked a lot about like the things that you do really well. Is there anything or a couple of things that you feel like, you know what, I wish we were doing this better?
Our social media is not very good. We used to be on YouTube. I used to be on YouTube myself through Bells of Steel. Because I'm kind of working two jobs at the same time, I'm pretty bad at, like, I'm not a great facilities manager. I don't have a large staff. There's only 3 of us. So our expansion is not great. And that's a lot of avenue that guys and gals want to be on. It's just not me. And I'm not good at it. I hate being on social media. I hate posting stuff all the time, which is crazy because my athletes, like, they don't care. And a lot of them do really cool things. But, like, when I'm in the moment of coaching, I could care less about getting a video of it. And that's polar opposite of today.
Right.
So I'm not good at it. I've got some cool people doing some cool things, and no one's ever seen it. So I kind of like that. But if I took some of these videos and posted them out on the internet, I'm sure they would blow up and I'd get more people. But I'm kind of laser focused right now. So that's what I'm bad at. I'm bad at that expansion aspect because I don't care as much anymore.
Well, at the same time, I'm sure that you're training high enough level people and your gym's got high enough level people in it that word of mouth probably keeps you at a pretty content spot.
It does. But at the same time, it's kind of the opposite because let's say you're a performing athlete. Like, for example, I have a girl that her 7th grade year didn't make the track team, and now she's the fastest in the state. Does she want to tell anybody where she trains? Absolutely not, because she doesn't want to get beat. So it's actually kind of the opposite. Like, a lot of my high-end athletes that are really getting good results say the least because
interesting.
It gets money, you know? Like, that's her scholarship could have been taken up by somebody else on my team, and she doesn't want that. So when they graduate, they're usually good about feeding me, you know, some athletes that have talked to them for a long time, but actually a lot of people have no idea that we exist.
Interesting.
And that's part of it. And I don't disagree with that. But yeah, if somebody wanted to come and do a sports performance side of things, the great way to make money is the opposite of what I do. You want a couple hundred athletes, you want a bunch of general memberships, you want that, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, at one point, I know you were training a couple Colts offensive linemen, and now it seems like you're training most of the offensive line. So,
yeah, I mean, like, people tell other people as on a team, like, teams want to be better. So, like, for example, the girl I had from Greenfield local, I trained 4 of the kids on the team, but there was a pole vaulter, and then it was a distance run, like, all different sides of track. But they didn't sit there and, like, feed me other kids like that. But no, yeah, I've also tried to keep things private for them. Like, some dudes don't want to be, a lot of guys and gals don't want to be talked about, so they'd rather do the work in silence. So yeah, I try to keep it quiet.
That's probably a huge benefit too to those, like, athletes that you train and that come to your facility to know that they can come in there and train and they can do their thing and nobody's going to bother them.
Exactly. Because it's pretty hard to hide those people. Like, if you're 6'9", it's pretty obvious that if you're in your 20s or up, that you probably still play sports. So yeah, we want it to be a quiet facility for them. You know, what's funny is most of the time when you train athletes college and up, a lot of those people are usually people that don't pay as much because you're then working with agents and other things, and it gets really confusing and tough. So I'd say my high school athlete is probably my most profitable athlete for sure, because parents are paying, and parents have no problem spending the money.
Yeah, that's interesting that once you get agents involved and other people involved, it changes the game.
It's not even worth it.
Okay.
It's not, to me, it's not worth it because you're going through somebody to somebody to, like, send an invoice and then pay it. Like, that doesn't work. I'd rather just train a cool athlete. That's more exciting to me than the money aspect. And then, but on the opposite side, if it's high school and under, those parents, if they're paying a couple $100 a month, but they're getting a full ride scholarship out of it, it's really worth it to them.
Oh, 100%. I got 2 kids in college right now. I would have easily paid that to avoid what I got right now.
Yeah, last year, I find way more pride in this part is last year I graduated 9 kids, and we had 9 Division I full ride scholarships.
Wow.
And some of those kids were never going to be a college athlete when I first met them. So I find that way more gratifying than anybody else outside of that.
No, that's super awesome. So as you mentioned, you've owned like multiple different gyms and multiple different locations and multiple different sizes of gyms.
Yeah.
One of the things we always ask when we're coming, like when we get to the end is, do you have any advice for anybody who's thinking about owning a gym or wants to own a gym?
It's a labor of love. It's a lot of work. I think it would be different if it was like a commercial gym where you're seeing hundreds of people and they're just skating their cards. West Indy's different because we only have a few hundred members, but 95% of them like come to the gym. So it's not like in LA where they have 10,000 members and 300 of them work out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my advice to them would be understand that this is a solid 5-year process and that it takes time to build your clientele. Once you have your clientele built, it's pretty easy after that. If my biggest like financial thing I would suggest is working capital is king. So if things are going really well and you want to keep expanding your business and live dollar to dollar, like I've done for years, it's not great. You really want some working capital in the bank to really fight off the ins and outs of the different times in the world, because gym goes first a lot of times. So if times get rough, that gym membership is canceled quickly. It's best to be prepared. And if you can have some money saved up, at least 3 months of, your P&L saved up, then you're probably going to do really well. I've done a bunch of like advertising in the past, like with different like Google and Facebook and all these other things. Saw very little results. The biggest result I've ever seen is performance. So if somebody goes out there and loses 20 pounds and looks better, you'll get so much more out of that than spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on ads. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I got the wrong person advertising, or maybe it was the weird market, but save your money, train your people well. If you're great at customer service, you'll be a great gym owner. Be prepared for stuff to hit the fan every day, and you'll be good to go.
Nice. Is there anything else you'd like to tell people about West Indy before we go?
Just in general, come on by if you want to check it out. We're open for everybody. I know we train a lot of athletes and stuff, but we're open to everybody. I've got everything from people trying to lose 100 pounds that have never worked out before to Olympians right now. So it's kind of a community for everybody. We're a big gym with a small field because I don't advertise. So we have a couple hundred members instead of a couple thousand. So yeah, I like putting my stuff out there, but at the same time, I kind of like our family that we've built over the years. I really enjoy seeing everybody on a day-to-day and having fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. I also wanted to thank you because, one, for coming on today. I know you're a busy guy. You've got a lot of stuff going on. But also, I first contacted you 2 years ago when we were first getting all of this started. And you got what we were doing right away, and you were supportive. So I just wanted to thank you for that as well.
Anytime. I'm glad to help anybody. I think there's a weird like community where people try to do it by themselves, and it's not necessary. There's a lot of us that are willing to help, and I've got gym owner friends and YouTubers and all that stuff. I'm down to help and I will gladly tell you everything that I've messed up so you don't do it that same way. But yeah, I'm always in. I'm down to help out wherever.
Awesome. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming on, and thank you very much.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more great content.